As You Like It has been the bombastic and ambitious collaboration between Kellis Media Arts and Theater, spanning 4 episodes as it tells a themed story that deals with love, deception, and action. Everyone who has tuned in has seen the final product, but many may be oblivious as to what goes into a production such as this one.
We have interviewed the likes of cast, crew, and directors to gain a better understanding of what it takes to make a show such as this one come to life.
This is the behind the scenes of As You Like It.
How can I memorize blocking on short notice? Okay, I think the easiest thing to do to memorize blocking is to associate it with your lines, but when you know your lines, you have a specific part of your line where there's an emotion that leads you to do something, so knowing your lines leads to memorizing your blocking easily.
It's really not easy, and a lot of the times I don't memorize it completely because thankfully our director, Ms. T, gives us creative choices a lot of the time with blocking. She's okay with us changing the blocking a little bit as long as it doesn't stray too far from her creative vision.
What's the biggest difference when on a set compared to a stage?
On a set, it's kind of more closed up and everyone's like kind of just focused on the set itself and everything going on, the whole scene, and there's just cameras facing you, whereas on a stage there's like the whole big area and you can project your voice and say it loud and give it a lot of emotion.
What are some techniques I use to memorize lines? Well, I don't really have a specific technique, and it's pretty basic actually. I just read my line and then put my paper away, put my script away, and I repeat it until it's ingrained in my head, and I just keep on adding the rest of my lines until I'm fully memorized.
I think the one that I use the most is either recording the lines before mine and then knowing the lines before mine so that I can deliver my lines after, or using Quizlet.
Hi, my name is Hayden Camp and I'm involved in Kellis Media and Productions.
How do you decide on which part to get a close-up?
For close-ups, I look mostly at the script and the blocking. I see what key parts of that scene should be emphasized, and then from there I'll choose that part and decide to get a close-up.
What's your favorite type of shot to use?
My favorite shot is probably the medium, or a little tighter than a medium, just because it's a real natural shot. It really gives a good visual of the person. You can see most of their body and their expressions and body language.
Hello, I'm Ms. Triveline and I'm the theater director and the director of As You Like It.
What's the most difficult thing about directing?
The most difficult thing about directing is twofold. One, cast list posting is the hardest thing because you'll see 5 actors who will all play the role differently and will all play the role so well, and you have to pick, and then you have to live with those consequences. And it is always awesome, it always turns out great, but that initial I have to make a decision, I have to break someone's heart, is just a lot of pressure, and then so it just gets a little overwhelming at times just to make sure that you're making those right decisions for people. And then the second hardest part about directing is realizing you have very little control over the actor's preparation. So if an actor comes in unprepared, you can't control that, yet you're in charge of getting the show to go up in time. Mm-hmm. So if an actor comes in unprepared, which never happens at our shows, but if they do, you have to consider as a leader, well, you could 1, shame them into coming prepared, or 2, encourage them, and then you have to figure out, okay, well, how do we switch around the rehearsal process so it still comes out at the same time? And so it's a lot of logistical and problem solving when everyone's turning to you of okay, this person was unprepared, now what do we do? And you don't even have the control to decide if they're prepared or not. That's their own personal decision. So I would say it's a hard task because you have to lead a group of people who all have different agendas, all have different things going on, all are overwhelmed and stressed at different points of the year, and you have to make it all work together. The biggest takeaway from As You Like It would be a couple different things. One, I have never directed for film, and so this was a huge learning experience for me. I absolutely loved working with Southwick and his crew, and so I picked up on a lot of different things about the nuances of film acting versus on-stage acting, especially how subtle you can be in film acting, and that subtlety does not translate on stage. So it had me take a different look at how to teach different ways of acting. So on a personal career level, I think that was a huge thing for me. But I think the bigger takeaway is how theater survives no matter what. We had a pandemic this year, a huge COVID pandemic. And a lot of people could have been just you know what, we're not doing theater this year, we'll pick it back up next year. And not just our school, but so many schools made it happen somehow, some way. And so I think with movies and television and film, sometimes it feels like theater could be a dying art, but it always survives. And just like Shakespeare's works, we always make it happen, we always thrive. And I think the coolest thing about this project is that we made it happen. We did a whole show this year, and a Shakespeare show at that, with some people who have never been in a play before, some technicians who have never built a set before, a lot of people never having this experience before, and we did it, and we did it extremely well. So I think the biggest takeaway for me is anything's possible when you do it with a team of people who are willing to work together to get it done.
Thank you for tuning in to As You Like It. This is the product of hard workers that through diligence and dedication were able to create a piece of media that extended beyond them. Thank you to everyone who has supported the process, and we cannot wait to see you in the next show.